Isaac Cherry, the host of STI 740. And I'm an OCC pal. You want to become an OCC pal? Go to www.occpal.me. OCC pal. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another great show of STI 740 Beyond the Game. I'm your host, Isaac Cherry, and we are live from Loomis Studios in Addison, Texas.
Yeah, and I'm your co-host, Savoy. A show that's completely run by kids. A sports show with a youth point of view. Join us live for a special entertainment edition of STI 740.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people out there, man.
Alright. My name is King Davis. I do gospel rap with World Connection, and yeah, I just started and I'm co-host there.
Yeah, today he's gonna co-host, so that's right. Stay tuned after the roundtable discussion for 30 minutes of live entertainment with some of the best youth in DFW. We also have a special guest, David Higbee of bridgedallas.org, Kristen Crage of Mystic Media Foundation, and music producer Trey Nagella of Loomis Studios. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's sports talk. What y'all want to talk about today, man? Whatever y'all want to talk about.
I think we should start talking about the draft yesterday. The first round.
Yeah, that draft. What do y'all say? What do y'all say for?
I mean, we all knew the first pick was gonna be James Winston.
So it seemed like a lot of people were trying to trade for that number 2 pick, so they could draft Marcus Mariota. And honestly, a lot of people was like, why did Marcus Mariota go first? And I'm like, Tampa Bay doesn't have the right scheme for Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota plays in a no-huddle scheme spread offense. Tampa Bay plays at a slower pace. So that's why Marcus Mariota didn't get drafted overall.
Yeah, I think James Winston is he was good for the Buccaneers because they have Mike Evans and he's a young receiver and they could just bond together and make a good duo in the future.
What about you, Savoy?
Well, I think really anybody would be good for Tampa because they didn't play good last year, and hopefully with James Winston they'll be able to play good this year.
I think the Titans drafted Marcus Mariota so they can have trade bait because they already have Zach Mettenberger. If Zach Mettenberger doesn't do well, they could trade him and keep Marcus Mariota. So either way, it's a win-win situation. So, but who I really want to talk about is Todd Gurley. He was drafted 10 overall to the Rams. I don't think that was a good pick for him. First, the offensive line is horrible. He just coming off from an ACL injury, and he already going to have a learning curve in the NFL. So if you're going to draft him, you should have at least a decent offensive line. So he won't have to put as much workload on that ACL that he tore last year.
And then last year the Rams drafted Trey. What's his name? They drafted a running back. I forget his name, but anyways, since you drafted Todd Gurley, that's 2 running backs in a row. You don't have a veteran running back to teach Todd Gurley how to develop in the league better.
What I think it is, why would you draft another running back when you already have Zach Stacy? What they are trying to do is they are trying to make Zach Stacy mad, so he'll either come out there and do his best, or they're trying to use him for trade bait. Because Zach Stacy already said he's going to ask for a trade or a release when they drafted Todd Gurley. And I think he should come to Dallas. I mean, Zach Stacy is a good running back. And we have one of the best offensive line in the league. So that's a perfect scenario for Zach Stacy.
Well, enough about this NFL draft. Let's talk about the fight tonight. Mayweather or Pacquiao?
Mayweather.
Yeah, I have Mayweather too. Mayweather is a more powerful fighter than Pacquiao, but Pacquiao, he has the speed though.
Yeah, Pacquiao, his fighting says like attack mode, but we all know Mayweather has the best like counter punches in boxing.
What I'm thinking is Mayweather was trained by Freddie Roach, who is also currently training Pacquiao, and the fight that he did he was against, I can't remember the boxer's name, but they said his defense was off. But his dad training him now, Floyd Mayweather Sr., he's going to get up his defense. And Pacquiao is a fast fighter, but he fights a certain way so he'll be able to counter everything that Mayweather gets. But Mayweather is good at making a boxer fight at his pace, how Mayweather wants to fight. So that's going to be a good fight.
Yeah. Well, he's getting paid a lot of money for this fight, too.
He getting $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them.
Even if Mayweather loses, he still gets paid more than Pacquiao.
There was, actually, this is something I want to say. A guy on Twitter had put Pacquiao is going to win because if Pacquiao wins, there's going to be a rematch. And that's going to be more money for Mayweather. Because we all know Mayweather loves money. When he said that, that really just, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was actually pretty smart.
Well, I'm going to need Mayweather to win because I made about 5 bets yesterday at school. So, I'm going to need Mayweather to win this fight.
If he don't, I help you with money. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to a commercial segment right now. Do you want to become an OCC pal? You should. I don't see why not. You have the chance of hosting your own show, meeting celebrities, i.e. me, going to athletic events, doing things you would normally not do on a Saturday or a Sunday, any day of the week. If you want to become an OCC pal, I don't know what's holding you back. We gave you all the information. Just do it. Okay, so we're back with another segment of STI 740. And right here, I'm thinking about the NFL draft. So, we're interviewing a man who has done a lot of things for not only the community, but the earth as well. He was once a volunteer coach and just doing different things for the city of Dallas. This dude right here is one person everyone should look up to. So, let's go ahead and bring up the lacrosse coach, Mr. David Higbee.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys letting me be here. It's good to be here. Just a quick intro of myself. My name is, again, David Higbee. My profession, I run an organization called Birds Lacrosse. We're a sports-based youth development organization, primarily working in South Dallas, West Dallas, and abroad. But we want to bring a great sport like lacrosse to everyone, and that's kind of my job on the field and off the field.
So why do you think lacrosse isn't as known as other sports such as football or basketball?
Well, it's Texas, and football is king in Texas, and so any sport, kind of has that, competition with football. But the thing about lacrosse is that it has been predominantly a northeastern New England sport that is just now kind of filtering its way west and south, and you're starting to see hotbeds of the nation like Texas and Florida, Colorado and California slowly pick up lacrosse. But you've got a state like Texas where it's really hard to add another sport to to the football landscape here, and so that's one of the biggest hurdles that I have as a coach is are we competing against football and the more traditional sports? In some way we are, but we also want to just add another option to kids.
So, where and when did you start playing lacrosse?
So, I'm from Oklahoma originally. Lacrosse was not big in Oklahoma. I actually grew up playing hockey, of all things. I'm from the University of, I went to the University of Oklahoma, picked it up there. It's funny, I haven't really been playing or been a part of the lacrosse landscape for that long. I started playing my sophomore year of college.
So, hockey. Hockey seems to be a sport that can get out of hand.
A little bit. It has that reputation, yes.
Have you been there or been involved in any of the fights?
No, not at all. When you're playing hockey as a youth player, that is completely disallowed from the game. At the higher levels, the pro leagues, it's fortunately and unfortunately part of the game. It's a dynamic that has a lot of debate and controversy over is fighting and sort of the rough and tumble aspect of the game part of the tradition and the nature of the sport. I think it's worthy of a conversation, certainly.
So what inspires you to become a lacrosse coach?
There was really no inspiration to being a lacrosse coach. I found this organization, Bridge Lacrosse. I'm not the founder. I Googled it essentially, and I said I could give this a shot. I was a better player, I'm a better coach than I was a player certainly. So I was like, let's give this a shot and see what happens. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the kids I was working with. I fell in love with the organization, and I haven't really kept up with my playing skills. I think my coaching skills are a little bit on a better track than my playing skills.
So you just one morning woke up and decided you wanted to be a lacrosse coach?
I woke up one morning thinking I would like to be a part of the sports in a way that's different than playing.
So you just looked up lacrosse coach.
So when you Google lacrosse in Dallas, this organization was somewhere in the Google search, and I clicked it and kind of fell into this cycle of learning more about the organization and the people and the programs that they were doing. And I think it was literally 3 days later, I was at a person's house sort of doing like a little event, and was getting pulled in different directions to coach this team or coach that team, and it kind of just spiraled out of control from there. That was 7 years ago, and now at some point I'm now the executive director of that organization.
So how has it been so far with all your coaching and everything?
It's been, every year is different, we've realized. And, we have a new cycle of coaches that come in, we have new players, we have new programs. And I think the biggest thing that we really hone in on with our programs is knowing that there's no one size fits all. That kids are different, that parents are different, that the programs are going to be different, that the coaches are going to be different. And so that's the one thing that we go in knowing every year is that, something's going to be different this year than last year. And that there's no one size fits all for what we do.
So what are the benefits of playing lacrosse versus playing football or basketball?
Well, I wouldn't say there's any inherent greater difference between the sports. The idea for us is we just want kids to have access to sports, be healthy, be outside, and in a sport and especially with a sport like lacrosse where it's not a widely known or very popular sport. And so for us, we really want kids to have an opportunity to just go outside and play and be active. When it comes to us versus other sports, what we really look for actually, and especially in our recruiting, is we're not going after the all-star quarterback or the starting point guard for a team because they have their niche. That is their sport. We're looking for kids who they like sports but they're not playing at a high level like they could be, or maybe they're they just want something more recreational based. They're not super highly competitive. They're not looking for Division I scholarships. We really want those kids because this is a unique sport. Unlike other sports, and we really want all kids to have access to something. But if you're already doing something great, like you're the starting quarterback for your football team, we don't want to take you away from that. We want to provide access for other kids who aren't the starting quarterbacks or point guards to play something that we think is a really, really cool sport.
So what exactly is Bridge Lacrosse?
So we're a sports-based youth development organization, and our mission is community enrichment by developing after-school programs and building healthy student athletes. And I think that last part of it is really what hits it for me, is building healthy student athletes. Again, we're not here to pump out future Division I athletes or help you go pro. We're just here to be recreational focused and give kids an opportunity to be, again, active, healthy, and engaged.
So what has been your biggest achievement?
Biggest achievement? It was funny when we had some leadership transition with the organization, and something in me said, why don't I look at stepping in and taking charge of the organization? I was 27 at the time, and I threw my hat in the ring and said I would like to be considered, a candidate for the executive director position. And coming from a totally different background and another profession, for me it was a really great achievement to be able to step in with very little background for running a nonprofit. And really being engaged in youth sports as a whole, to kind of just step in and say, I'd like to take charge of this. So I'm very proud of that sort of moment of, let's just go and try this and do this.
So did you have any regrets during the time being with this organization?
I definitely have a couple of regrets, and I think it goes back to that first time I decided to step in. It was definitely, I wanted to go in and try to change everything and mold it to my preferences. And I think that's one thing I probably shouldn't have done, is maybe sat down and really learned the organization a little bit more before going in and trying to change everything.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. David Hebe. It was nice doing this interview.
It's very nice being here, guys. I really appreciate your time.
And right now we're going to have a Bridge the Gap commercial. Does Rachel take us out? Sign up for OCC Pal at www.occpal.me. Alright, welcome back to STL 740. Right now, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals, where some teams going to land and where some are not. So, y'all go ahead and go first.
Well, I just want to talk about this first round. I don't think it was good at all. I mean, four sweeps, and then like only one set went to Game 7.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think the Spurs can win tonight if they don't get held below 20 points.
No.
Because in the first quarter, every game the Clippers have won, they have either matched or scored more points than the Spurs did in the first quarter. So whoever gets off to a quicker start, that's who's going to win.
Nah, Clippers gonna win. First of all, they at home court, Game 7. The crowd's gonna be hyped. Chris Paul gonna be playing good.
Chris Paul is 0-7 in the first round.
I have to go with
He's
the
never
Clippers to win
been.
this
He's
one.
never been past the first round.
Well, he about to be 1-8.
Against the Spurs?
Last year they
Against
went
the
past the
Spurs.
first round against the Warriors.
No, they didn't. The Nuggets played the Warriors last year.
The Nuggets didn't make the playoffs last year.
Wait, Clippers did go to the second round last
No,
year.
he's 0-7 in the first round.
He is not 0-7.
They lost against the Thunder.
Who they play against?
Second round.
Lost against the Thunder in the second round. The Clippers?
First round they won against the Warriors, and then second round they won against OKC and lost.
No,
I think you're factually off right
I
now.
don't recall that. I do not recall that. But y'all could be right though. No, not everyone's right. So, what I think it is, the Spurs have more experience in the postseason, as we all know that.
But the Clippers have more athleticism than the Spurs.
But it all comes down to playoff experience. You could be as good as you want to be, but that's really what's going to hold back the Warriors. The Warriors haven't really done good in the playoffs.
They swept.
They
just
just
swept
swept the
team.
Pelicans.
I'm talking about past years, and it's the Pelicans. It's the 8th seed. The 8th seed.
They had to play against Anthony Davis. The Pelicans. The
Okay,
Pelicans
Anthony
do not
Davis.
suck.
Anthony Davis. Who else? He's good.
Tyreek
Don't get me
Evans,
wrong.
Norris Cole.
Tyreek Evans got injured, so
Norris Cole.
Norris Cole really wasn't.
Norris Cole was just like, he's just like a good role player.
He was just there.
Yeah.
There to be there.
Sure. Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
No,
I'm
keep
just
it
saying,
going. Keep it
Golden
going.
State. Just
Go ahead.
You-
Okay. But what's gonna happen when they have to play Memphis? A team that gets down and dirty.
That's gonna
They
be
do
a
not
series.
play.
How are they gonna
Mike
stop?
Conley just came off an injury, so
Nick
the
Galactus.
CUP will be
Tony
productive.
Allen, Marc Gasol, Zebo.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson,
Andre Iguodala.
Draymond Green.
Okay. But what's the one thing that's holding them back? Playoff
Playoffs.
experience. Playoff experience. You could be as good as you want to be, but when it comes down to playoff, it's a total different atmosphere. Like LeBron James, he literally cuts off his phone during the playoffs. No outside distraction. That just shows you the atmosphere that the playoffs are in. And then they're playing against Memphis. Who's the team that took the Thunder to 7 games? Took the Spurs, gave them a really good series. So, go ahead.
They went to the conference championships 2 years
Hey,
ago.
we found out Chris Paul did go to the what again? He did make it out the first round.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I told you, man. I told you.
Okay, but go ahead. They have no playoff experience.
Well, the Warriors crowd, it's like
They
They
barely
had
beat
most
the
of-
Pelicans.
barely. How do you barely beat the Pelicans?
I
And
don't
it's
know,
4-0.
3?
I think 4-0 means barely beating them.
Yes, because they actually got lucky because they came
They didn't
back
make the game
from 25
5. It was
points
4
down,
games.
which was
4-0.
pretty good. It was pretty good. I mean, I commend them on that. They came back from 25 points down. And also, y'all talking about Russell Westbrook shooting a lot of shots. This is something I really want to say. In that game, where he hit the amazing three-pointer, I ain't gonna lie, that was a foul. And one. No overtime. But he shot 10 of 29. 10 of 29. That is under
Hold up.
50%.
Why are we talking about?
That is no. Check it. A lot of people say Russell Westbrook shoots too much. You remember that game? He shot like 42.
He does. They're not
shots?
going to win.
But check this out. Who else did they on that OKC team? Who else did they have to shoot the ball?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant was injured.
Well, not this year.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think
Russell-
Russell
no,
Westbrook
I
is
don't think-
irrelevant right
I'm
now.
talking about this year. This year.
Why are we
who
talking
else
about the
did they
team that's
have
not even in the
to
playoffs?
give the ball to?
Why are we
Because
talking
a lot
about
of-
the team that's not even in the playoffs?
Why don't y'all
The
change
Thunder are
something?
not going
Why-
to win the ring until Russell Westbrook understands that they're not going to win the ring until the team evolves around Kevin Durant. He wants the team to himself.
No, this is
The
the
team
thing.
evolves
This is
around
the
Kevin
thing.
Durant.
At first, it was questionably Kevin Durant's team, but
It is Kevin
now,
Durant's team.
since Kevin Durant got down and injured, and Westbrook was having mad triple doubles, historic setting triple doubles, this is now Russell Westbrook's team.
Russell Westbrook would be a good piece of shooting guard, not a point guard.
He actually played shooting guard in college.
Yeah, he should
And,
play
and,
shooting guard.
and for
not
him
point
to
guard.
come into the NBA and play like a point guard and average 8.7 assists, 7.5 assists in his first few years in the league, y'all get off his back. For real.
As soon as Kevin Durant come back in, it's gonna be his team again.
I
Russell Westbrook ain't gonna get no more.
don't
triple-doubles.
think he had triple doubles while Kevin Durant was healthy. So I don't know
How
what
many?
you're talking about. In years past, when
How
Kevin
many?
Durant was healthy, he had triple doubles.
How many?
He had a triple double against the Knicks. And
The
I
Knicks?
don't know how many.
Anybody?
Okay. So you saying
The Knicks.
okay?
Wait, hold on. Russell Westbrook was still making triple doubles when he had Kevin Durant.
Okay, yes. And check this out. Russell Westbrook was getting 10, 11, 17 assists, career highs, with no one who can shoot on the Thunder this year. Who else can shoot on the Thunder besides Anthony Morrow? Consistently. Day in and day out. Who else? What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You done?
You don't have to shoot. You could pass it, and they could be making a layup.
Yeah,
But,
It don't have to be a 3-point jumper.
fast break.
okay, fast breaks. But how often does that happen? They get about 20
He gets
points per
steals.
game.
He gets steals.
Fast break. He gets steals. And what about a fast team like the Grizzlies? 10 assists. And they are good at inside defense, outside defense, fast break defense. So I don't know what y'all talking
They
about.
got the most assists last season.
Alright, all I want to say is they're not in the playoffs.
Okay, they're not
The
in the
Pelicans
playoffs.
made it.
But check this out.
And you talking about the Pelicans that they suck?
Look.
They beat your team.
The Pelicans were relatively healthy most of the year. The Thunder didn't have Russell Westbrook or Kevin
Maybe
Durant
the
or
Thunder
Serge
just
Ibaka
weak.
for most of that
Maybe
for
your
most
team
of that
just
year.
weak.
And for them to come back and lose by one, be down by one game, that's outrageous.
Did you forget that Anthony Davis was injured?
Yes, he was, but not as long as Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant.
Weren't you saying that Anthony Davis like the only person they got and he was injured?
They
but
got Drew
still made it?
Holiday, Eric Gordon,
So
and
now you
Anthony
name-
Davis. That's it. That's three.
Well, who did
Three.
that? Let's talk about the playoffs. Like who was the MVP of the playoffs? Like who was the most valuable player on that team in the playoffs? Anthony Davis.
Yes,
He was the one with the ball
But-
most of the time.
yes, he was, cause he is really an all-around player. He's like one. He's going to be one of the greats.
Yeah, he has ball handling skills because he played point guard in high school.
Oh, you remember that game where Anthony Davis hit that buzzer beater on your
That
team?
is the only reason they make the playoffs, cause they hit it. Cause
Do you
he hit
remember
the
that
buzzer
game?
beating three. Do you realize
I
that?
remember that game.
Okay, so we about to go to a promo for a CPR event on May 16th and National Prayer Day. And right after this, we will go straight into the youth roundtable. Okay, at the CPR event, it will be at Southwest Center Mall on May 16th. Well, we are going to be there. We are going to just talk with the youth, the police, and just doing things with the youth and the police that will really help to get up the trust and the morale of the police. This is what we're doing at CPR and OCC PAL, Operation Community Care Police Activity League. Check that out, OCCPAL.me. We went to a march yesterday. It was me, my brother, and my dad, and we were looking at some of the things that people were saying, and it looked like the police don't really have a lot of people that really trust them. And you can't blame the police, because like my dad said, he went to a community to help the kids, and they kept scratching his car. And you telling me you got all these people coming here calling y'all out of y'all name, some explicit things, and y'all expect, I wouldn't be able to do that. Y'all come in here, just blatantly disrespecting these people, throwing bricks at them, calling them out of their name. And you guys expect them to come in here and just be down for you every time you call them. But when they help you, it's all thank you. But right after that, you're talking bad about them. If you want them to feel good about you, you have to make them feel better. Because police are actually more important than we realize.
Yeah.
Like you can't talk down about the police after just a few incidents where the police did something out of hand.
I mean, like, one day you calling them to help you because somebody broke in your house. Next day you saying, man, the police, I don't need them. But yesterday you was just calling them. Hey, how you feel about the police?
I mean, like, some of my best friends, their parents are police, so I'm pretty cool with them. I know a lot of police. I mean, but it's like, we try to build a better relationship with the police. But every time the relationship's getting better, something else happens. Like, in Baltimore, recently, the police killed another young black man, so that's why the relationship keeps getting messed up.
Alright, right now, we're actually about to go into the round table right now.
I'll grab it. I'll tell you what, it's things like what happened in Ferguson, obviously Baltimore being the most recent thing. It's definitely a great event for people to rally around. Like, we obviously don't want these things to be happening, but this is an opportunity for young people like you all in this room, to have this discussion. And I think it's really important. I think this is cool. When I was your age, guys, we weren't doing these things. Okay, when I was in high school and in middle school, we were not having these conversations about social justice issues. And so just being in this room with you all is really just inspirational to me and empowered me, because I think this is a really, really good opportunity for another generation to be a part of the conversation. Whereas when I was a kid, and maybe my parents before them, we weren't a part of the conversations. We weren't a part of the discussions that were going on in the world. And I think this is a really cool thing, just to be here with you all. So I kind of want to leave with that what's happening, across the nation in these, incidents is very unfortunate. But you all as young people can take those events as opportunities to learn and engage with the people around you.
Alright, so if you don't know about the Baltimore incident, it's the Freddie Gray incident, and that's when a young man who had a Swiss knife, pocket knife, and the police did some such thing as rough riding. So, well, you know what that is?
Yeah.
Can you go tell people what it is?
Well, rough riding in Baltimore, when they make an arrest, throw them in the back instead of, like, they'll be handcuffed. So if you don't strap them down and you driving the car a while, they'll, like, dump all over the place because they can't stop themselves because they're handcuffed. So basically, they did that to Freddie Gray, and during the ride, he was killed because he had some spinal injury.
And what I think about it is, not every cop is like that. It's just 90% of good cops and then 10% bad. What we need to do is find the 10% and get them out of there. Because those are the people that we are having these riots about, which would save a lot of people money, which is what OCC PAL is doing. Operation Community Care Police Activity League. We are re-bridging the trust between the police and the community. Because as we can see, over the years and generations, that trust has been burned. Anybody want to say something about it?
Yeah. Alright, so my take on the whole incident about the Baltimore and where we're moving in right now, I feel that we're going into a mid-civil war between the police and the citizens. We're having this huge separation ever since the 1960s between Martin Luther King, all the great leaders that was trying to fight for our freedom, and now that we have it, I think we're just taking advantage of it, and we're just disrespecting, and we're not having that unity like they used to before. So, what we're doing now as STI 740, we're having this OCC PAL, this I don't know how to express it. It's just so huge, because we're connecting the citizens to the police, and we're bringing them together. It's something that hasn't been done yet. So that's just my take.
Recently in the past years, we've had some pretty good amount of change for a lot of rights, and it just feels like African Americans' rights and their freedom is sort of lacking behind in this sort of evolution. And so it's not necessarily, it's not necessarily only the cops, because after we've handled, issues with the police, we've got, everyone else who shares the same values. That's the 10% that Isaac talked about of, being racist in some shape, form, or fashion. And so, it has to do in one way or another with this sort of place that African American men have put themselves in, as we can't do the crazy sort of things that we do. Personally, I believe it's sort of all this sort of kind of just a great start would be going back to church. That would be a fantastic start. It's just sort of the name we've given the general population of African American men, which there's no such thing as the general population out of it. There's individuals, obviously, but that's sort of what it's come to, is generalization of African American men being the exact same. And I think we've got to start changing that for ourselves before we start changing everybody else.
I want to have just throw a question out there. How do y'all feel about the students going back to school or school being canceled?
Well, I feel that at the same time, all these teenagers, they're rioting and they're doing all these bad things to businesses in their community. So, and there are some kids that don't want to riot and they're really scared of what's happening. But at the same time, I think school should have been canceled, because some of those kids that didn't want to riot or were scared of other kids who were rioting, they were in danger, and so were the teachers and the faculty there. And if they were there, they would have destroyed the school. And that's in Baltimore. They don't have that many schools there, so I think it was a good idea to cancel school. So, yeah.
Kalia, we were talking a couple of days earlier, and you said you think school should not have been canceled. Why do you think that?
Actually, I spoke with someone from Baltimore last night, and she was telling me why they canceled school. And they actually canceled school because they also shut down public transportation. And that is a way that a lot of the students in Baltimore got to school, to and from school. So without public transportation, you can't get to school. So that is actually one of the main reasons that they shut down school. But I mean, I kind of don't think they should have canceled school. I mean, it's not that the kids won't graduate, because I did say they won't graduate the other day, but they will regardless. But if Baltimore is anything like Texas, you know how we have those snow days, and like we get out of school at a certain time before snow, and then we get out for the snow days, and then we have to go back and make up those snow days. I just think, like, if Baltimore is anything like Texas, then no one wants to go back and make up those days. Like, if you're supposed to get out May 31st, then you got to make up those days that you were out of school. Like, so you would have to get out later than your actual date. That's the main reason I think that they should.
Personally, I think that a lack of education is sort of what it was a factor in what, where we are right now, and what's causing all of this, and all this protesting and all of these riots is the lack of education. And so we're basically taking what happened in Baltimore, or at least Baltimore's education system is taking what happened there, sitting down. They're just sort of saying, okay, this happened, take a few days off. We need to. I think they should probably, probably stayed in school and sort of talked about this and talked about change in some, in some sort of way. Because that's something that we do. Is just we experience something horrible, and then we just sort of sit back for a while and take it sitting down.
I'm not saying that the Baltimore riots are a good thing, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing either, because the gangs in Baltimore, they have actually like joined together to I'm not saying this is a good thing, but they've joined together to destroy the shops for some reason. But I think this will bring peace to Baltimore, but not complete peace, like for just an equal amount of time. And I think this will bring like the gang rating really low, like not really low, but a little bit lower than usual.
I feel that the rioters that are rioting, I feel like their mindset is, okay, you kill one of our people, we're gonna destroy your cars, we're gonna destroy your buildings, etc. And I feel like while some of the police that are 90%, while they're thinking, okay, we need to stop this, that 10% is thinking, I'm about to kill some more, And I feel like we're going back and forth. While these people are saying, we're going to teach you a lesson, they're saying, they're going to teach you a lesson. So, I mean, in the end, you can't really beat the police. Because they're the police, they're the law. So,
I think that the more people that the more citizens that the cops like shoot up or kill, I think that's gonna be the more riots are gonna start happening, because it's just not gonna do anything but make it worse, and it's just gonna be a continuous cycle, and it's never gonna stop until somebody just becomes more peaceful and just talks it out and makes a negotiation and makes peace with them.
So, I'd just like to say, not that I've given up hope on our society completely, but you cannot make laws to change people's minds about racism. And like, I don't know, I don't think the Civil War or the civil rights movement has ever really ended, because we made these laws that were like, okay, try to raise up the black community, but I mean, other races are continuing to have the same negative outlooks on us because we keep doing the same negative stuff. Like I remember when I was younger, there was a song that came out, and it was by some dude, and it was called "I'ma Start a Riot." And I remember thinking, like, why would you do that? And it's just ignorant things like that keep pointing those 10% and saying black people aren't getting any better. They're staying barbaric. And it's education is a part of it, and it's the way that they're brought up. Of course, not having a father, as much as a lot of fatherless people try to say, oh no, I'm good, I don't need a dad, but I mean, statistics show like your life is negatively impacted by that. And it's just pop culture is just not, it's not good for black people. Like, it's just not. We can't be listening to like, I don't know, just anything on the radio. And music has a way of entering your mind and influencing your actions that people just ignore. But I think we just need to be more conscious about what we're doing. And like the people who are at the riots provoking the police, like jumping at them and stuff, like, that's not smart. They have weapons. Stop doing that. But of course, people don't listen, so.
Like what she was saying about education, I think really there are two different things. There's revolution and then there's evolution. I think people fighting, like they're standing up, but they're like fighting off of ignorance because they don't actually know what's going on around them. So they're fighting that the ignorance is making a revolution, and that just puts you right back where you were. But when you learn, when you know things, when you start to learn about things, that begins an evolution that makes you go forward, that makes you learn from your mistakes, that makes you do more things that will better your community and things around you.
I'm a former student, and so John of the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy, and our principal, Nakia Douglas, would always tell us to either define the stereotype or redefine the stereotype.
I feel like the writers, you know, being the majority African American, I feel like they're trying to embrace this stereotype. Like, since they've been put down, you know, they've been called, you know, N-word, thugs, you know, etc. I feel like they're trying to be like, all right, we can't get rid of these names. Let's promote it. Let's embrace it. You know what? Let's be thugs, etc. And I feel like that's not the right thing to do. I feel like they need to keep trying and trying and trying so they can maybe, just maybe, erase, you know, or try to get over what, you know, the image that has been portrayed to society.
I think, well, kind of like what you're talking about, I think that same, like for me, is just crazy and stuff to do, like, what, like, just so complicated.
Can I piggyback off of something you said earlier? And there are two things that stood out to me, and what you're talking about is education, and I think this sort of look at this systematic issue that we have here, and that it's not just Baltimore or Ferguson or the marches downtown Dallas last night, but that there is a larger thing at play here. And I think that's for you all as a generation to understand is that this is not new. This has been decades long. A systematic approach needs to be taken to things like race, poverty, education, you know, whatever it may be. All these social justice issues have a very large perspective at it, and it's sort of daunting, right? Because you are just one person, right? What can one person do? And this is something I tell, and going back to my segment about sports and lacrosse, one of the things I tell my players is do the little things well. And if you do the little things well over time, you're going to start seeing changes. And for the example of my profession, it's if we practice hard and we do these things well, we will start winning games. And when we start winning games, we will start winning tournaments and we will start winning championships. And that takes a lot of time. And then the second thing that you touched on is, you know, going back to church. Do those little things well. Be a part of the community. You know, make good grades. You know, obey your parents. Be a part of the community around you, and do those little things well over time, and you will start to see systematic change. But you said earlier how you're maybe a little frustrated and maybe jaded. Don't be, because it takes time and you have to be very patient to it. And you can have passion and patience at the same time. And I think that's what, you know, your generation and my generation needs to sort of grab hold to, is be passionate but be patient.
It's happened over and over again, and I can understand that they're mad, but I don't think that they realize that they are just making things worse, the police brutality and everything. And when it's all over, they're going to look back and look at their neighborhood and see that it's destroyed. They're going to think, like, what have I done?
But let me pose a question to all of you all. Let me pose a question to all of you all. How do you create a learning environment in an environment that is adverse to learning? How do you come back to getting back on track? And secondly, why is it that when you African Americans riot, you call hoodlums, thugs, has-beens, but if college students of another color riot, they're called college students? Why is that?
Again, it's all about that image we portrayed about ourselves.
Can you give an example of the college student rioting?
Kentucky.
Yeah.
After Kentucky won, and then there was a pumpkin festival in Vermont that turned ugly, and you know, used to Vancouver after the Canucks. I think they lost the game 7. There was a riot after that.
I don't remember that.
It happened though.
They were pretty significant, unfortunately.
I don't know why they have such a difference between, but I can just say, like, from my take, that college students, they just call college students because, like, no one really engages on college students, I guess. It's more about the society and what we're living in our social life right now. But I guess because of dealing with school, I don't know. To
What I think it is, as we all saw, the mom in Baltimore who took her kid and just literally went off on him. We need more of those moms to come out in the riots, find their kids, tell them stop doing this, stop doing that. Because the police, they're doing their job, they're doing it as best as they could. But when they find these, like that mom, all these kids have mothers. And if there's moms like that mom out there, if they could just come out and find that kid, I'm pretty sure these riots will be over quicker than we think.
I don't think so. As long as you black kids, you African American men, keep getting bigger, growing, and the more you. Oh, I'm sorry. As long as you African American kids keep getting bigger, growing, and have attitudes toward the establishment, this will never stop. The thing is this, is that the police are afraid of you, right? And we don't have any kind of partnership with the police because they target our community. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, they're killing most of the kids that have been killed prematurely were college kids, were good kids. But they didn't know this about these children because they're afraid. They thought he was just another angry black kid. As long as we're angry and as long as we keep lashing out toward the police, this type of thing will continue to happen. It's like a repeat in history.
But
Right?
does that put the ownership then on young black men then? And
Exactly.
But why not? So that there should be a balance though in the responsibility that young black men have to be leaders and members of their community, but also as the establishment, if you will, of police officers. But I think there's always a balance, right? There's no single silver bullet to any social issue. There's no one person to save all of us from all these different things. And so I think there's definitely a responsibility that needs to be sort of delegated out to everyone, not just young black men, not just police officers. It'd be interesting to see. In my mind, you have all these different levers here, and we all have to figure out what are these different levers we're going to pull and then adjust to fix these issues.
Okay, so after this is our last question, then we're wrapping it up. Why is it important that the youth bridge the gap between the community and the police?
I say the youth needs to bridge the gap because we are the next generation. You know, what happens after us, you know, as simple as it is, that's the future. So if we, you know, the new generation, I guess, can, you know, bridge that gap, then we can teach our kids to bridge that gap and then keep on building it and, you know, bridging the gap until it's fully bridged.
Well, I think it's also important because right now it's the youth that really hate the cops. It's the youth that's doing the rioting. And when they see the kids in Baltimore trying to trust the police again, then everybody else will be like, oh, he's doing this. Then it's not going to be as much hatred towards the police.
Yeah, peer pressure is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think, like, since they see one kid doing it, then maybe the other kids, they'll start, like, following after that one kid. And if they, like you said, if they grow up and they teach their kids how to do that, then that will bridge the gap.
Alright, so we about to wrap up the show today. And it was very nice having this youth round table today. You said everybody made some good points who spoke. This is STL 740. I'm signing out. Hello, I'm Isaac Cherry. And right now, I'm signing up for OCC now. Operation Community Care and Police Athletic League. When you sign up for these, you can be a part of everything that normal kids don't get the chance of. All thing you have to do is sign up at www.occpal.me.